the COVID-19 pandemic, it is critically important that the board continues with its governance and oversight work. Since April, the board has held its monthly meetings virtually. Today, we're joining by Zoom, and we will continue with this practice until we can safely resume our in-person meetings. I want to take a moment to thank Chief McCullough, his executive leadership team, and the uniform and civilian members of the Niagara Regional Police Services, who have been working diligently and at times under difficult conditions. I also want to thank everyone for joining us today, Niagara Region residents, members of the media, and Niagara Regional Police staff who are watching online. Thank you for your support and staying connected. With that said, I'm going to proceed with today's agenda. Although this meeting is taking place online, we acknowledge the land we are on as we hold this meeting. It's the traditional territory of First Nations peoples. In particular, we recognize and thank the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples for their stewardship of these lands over the millennia. We also recognize the contribution of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous people, both in shaping and strengthening this region in particular, and our province and our country as a whole. I will now go to roll call. Just say here when I call your name. Member D'Angelo.
Here.
Member Eek.
Here.
Member Gale.
Here.
Member Gibson.
Present.
New member Lawson.
Present.
And member McKendrick will not be joining us today. She has a family commitment. I'd like to welcome our newest board member, Jen Lawson, to the Police Services Board. Ms. Lawson has been appointed to the board by the provincial government for a 3-year term. She fills a position previously held by Ken Ganzel, whose term expired on August the 31st. Jen is a chartered professional accountant with an MBA and brings over 20 years of accounting experience from a diverse background in the public and private sectors, covering manufacturing, family, entertainment, hospital, university, regional, and provincial governments. She was sworn in on November the 24th and is now able to participate in all board business. Ms. Lawson has a prior commitment today as she will be leaving our meeting at 10 a.m. However, we look forward to her contributions at our future meetings. Again, welcome, Member Lawson. Are there any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest today?
No.
None. We have 2 sets of minutes. The minutes of the public board meeting held October the 22nd. If we can have members D'Angela and member Eek move that. Are there any questions to that? All those in favor, just raise your hand. That's carried. Item 3.2, minutes of the Public Finance Committee meeting held November 5th, 2020. Moved by members Gale and Gibson. Any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand. That's carried. Item 4, reports from the board chair. On November the 24th, the Niagara Regional Police Service, the Niagara Police Services Board of the Niagara Regional Police Association held its 2020 awards ceremony at police headquarters. While we were unable to physically gather with all award recipients and their families due to the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, we did connect individually with sworn and civilian members and citizen award recipients to recognize their outstanding efforts. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank all the recipients for their contributions. Each and every one of their contributions has made a difference and continues to make a difference in this association. On November the 24th, member Eek participated in the virtual Joint Region and Police Facilities Accommodation Steering Committee meeting. Specific to the new 1 District, St. Catharines Police Facility, the build's completion remains on track with an anticipated move-in date for the end of December 2020. This is a full report providing a status update on the project, or there is a full report, I apologize, and that is under item 7.4 on today's agenda. Member Eek, do you have any further updates with regards to that?
Thank you very much, Bill. As you mentioned, we did have our facilities committee meeting this past Tuesday via Zoom, and I'm pleased to report that the construction process is moving along nicely and in a positive time frame. I would say that the exterior of the building is about 98% complete, and I'll itemize that all the exterior asphalt finishing is completed. Given the nature of our weather, they actually started to do some trees and some grass installation regarding the landscaping. So that was something that was not anticipated to start until the spring. All light standards in the parkings are completed. The stairs on the exterior and interior are all complete. As I had indicated, only the aluminum cladding, there's a small area left to be completed on the exterior. The interior itself, finishing is ongoing with lights and lockers. The elevator installation is complete, now awaiting only the approval from the ministry. Financially, budgetary, everything is in line. And that pretty much highlights that facility. The meeting also indicated 3 items. I'll just mention briefly that ongoing, of course, is the extension of 101 parking spaces at our headquarters that commenced last week, and anticipated completion is December 21st, and it's being done by Norjohn and cost effective from the region. And the third item that we discussed is the 911 backup facility. Of course, the current 911 backup facility is located at 64 Church Street, the one district facilities. So we need to be up and running, and we have a temporary location in the Welland District Office. And we anticipate that the completion of that will be well in advance of the timing required to leave 64 Church and reside on the use of this backup in Welland. So we will test it out and be assured that all is well. So that's a quick summary, Bill, of that meeting, and thank you for the opportunity to update.
Thanks, David. And members of the Niagara Police Services Board participated in the Canadian Association of Police Governance 2020 Annual Conference, which was held virtually from October 30th to November 2nd. This year's program theme was prioritizing wellness through governance and focused on current and emerging issues on police governance. Police boards across Canada were provided with the opportunity to hear from the industry experts and community leaders in policing and dialogue with colleagues from across the nation. Members of the Niagara Police Services Board participated in the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards 2020 Annual Labor Seminar, which was held virtually on November the 12th and 13th. The information sessions provided police boards with updates on the labor relations landscape across Ontario, as well as matters relating to police executive contracts and employer challenges associated with WSIB. On December 10th at 12 p.m., the Canadian Association of Police Governance will be hosting its monthly webinar as part of the education strategy to keep police services boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently impacting the policing community. December's webinar session is about body-worn cameras in Canada. The timing of the session conflicts with the board's regular monthly board meeting. However, a recorded session with presentation materials will be made available to our members here following that webinar. On December the 14th at 1 p.m., the service will be holding a K-9 graduation ceremony at police headquarters to recognize Police Constable Wiley and Police Service Dog Rudy as the newest members of the NRPS K-9 unit. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 restrictions, this ceremony will not be open to the public. However, prior to the ceremony, a public link will be provided and the event can be watched online through a virtual platform. In order to accommodate the holiday season, the board will hold its next monthly meeting on Thursday, December the 10th at 9 a.m. and it will be held by electronic participation through Zoom. That ends my report. Are there any questions from members? No, thank you. We move on to item 5, reports from the chief. Chief McCullough.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I want to start my comments this morning by welcoming Member Lawson to the board, and obviously on behalf of the service, I want to extend congratulations to you on your recent appointment, and we certainly look forward to working with you and of course offering any assistance that we can to make your transition to the board as seamless as possible. In keeping with the wishes of the board with regards to providing an update on COVID, I'll just offer the following. Our police service continues to manage and adapt to the ever-changing reality of the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact it's having on our community and our members. With the continued and increasing community spread of the virus, on November 3rd, Government of Ontario introduced a new response framework which provides a modified color-coded system. This framework contains the following classifications: green, yellow, orange, red, and more stringent, which include more stringent measures, and the lockdown phase. At the onset of this framework, the Niagara region was initially placed in the green phase. However, shortly thereafter, our region was elevated to yellow. And then on November 16th, our region was again elevated to the orange phase of the framework. Included in the orange phase restrictions is the limiting of hours of operation for licensed establishments, bars and restaurants to serve liquor and remain open to the public. The limitation of only 4 members being allowed to sit together at such establishments, and the closure of strip clubs and other than serving food and beverage under certain circumstances. Further, the province has again extended most of the emergency orders currently in place under the Reopening Ontario Act until December the 21st, 2020. Also, as board members are aware, the Niagara Region's Acting Medical Officer of Health has issued a Section 22 order under the Health Protection and Promotion Act, effective November the 14th, which adds further rules and restrictions to food and drink premises within our region. These rules and restrictions include collecting contact information for people attending such establishments and limiting patrons at a table to only household members and or a maximum of 2 persons who are essential to maintaining physical and mental health of the individuals. As you recall from our board meeting last month, I reported that the Niagara Regional Police Service at that time had its first 2 members test positive for COVID-19. Fortunately, at that time, the members, that number remains steady, and we've had no new cases of members testing positive for COVID-19. In light of the increased rate of COVID numbers nationally, provincially, and locally, the Niagara Regional Police Service implemented an active screening protocol on November the 3rd for all members entering Niagara Regional Police Service facilities. Members are now required to complete the member self-screening for COVID before, immediately, or upon entering any facility for any reason. The screening process occurs on an iPad or a cell phone that has the screening app downloaded. If after completing the screening process, a member receives a message that they are not to enter any police facility, the member must self-isolate at home. The member will then be in contact with our Human Resources Unit for further direction. This new screening policy has been put in place as an additional safeguard to protect our members and the workplace, which is in accordance with best practices and public health guidance. Further, to support the efforts of public health officials, the messaging from the government continues to emphasize a stronger approach rather than an educational approach that's been stressed in the past. Life within our region continues to be far from normal, and the province and public health authorities continue to stress physical distancing, frequent hand washing, respiratory etiquette, the wearing of face coverings or masks when physically distancing cannot be achieved, and encouraging people to stay home when ill. We as a service continue to encourage members to observe these safety measures both in the workplace as well as in their personal lives when off duty. Our Pandemic Business Continuity Committee continues to meet regularly to adapt our methods as needed. The service continues to be vigilant and methodical in our approach to ensure the safety of all of our members. We will continue to be flexible and adaptable to changing circumstances based on a combination of government and public health direction, and we will continue to closely monitor what is taking place within our community. The service continues to work closely with our emergency service partners at our 12 municipal fire services and EMS, the local area municipalities, the region, public health, and we of course participate in the Emergency Operations Center meetings to help guide us through these ever-evolving times. Included with this mutual cooperation framework, we continue to assist municipal bylaw officers in ensuring the compliance of emergency orders. I want to again thank all of our municipal partners, in particular their enforcement personnel, in continuing to manage and deal with this ever-changing array of government orders and in responding to the various issues and concerns that have been identified within our communities. The Niagara Regional Police Service to date has issued 16 provincial offense notices for failing to comply with orders, and I can further advise that we've received a total of 1,353 COVID-19 specific calls for surveys related to emergency management and the Civil Protection Act or the Reopening of Ontario Act emergency orders. As it pertains to personal protective equipment or PPE, our service continues to maintain an adequate supply of N95 and surgical masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, and wipes. And the supply chains for PPE continues to be monitored and assessed to ensure that we're well positioned for any future possibilities. Since the start of the pandemic back in March of this year, the service has been able to maintain adequate staffing levels, and we've not had to cancel any scheduled time off for our members. In terms of calls for service, currently we are trending at or near pre-pandemic levels. This has been the case for really about the last 6 months. There's been no significant deviation of calls for service in respect to any geographic area within the region or in relation to any particular vulnerable group or any serious breaches of the peace that have related to the pandemic. In an effort to safeguard and ensure that our members have the most current and accurate information, I've sent out a total of 59 email messages to our members. Additionally, I continue to host virtual town hall meetings when necessary as other means to share information and provide an opportunity for our members to ask questions related to COVID-19. All members of the service, sworn and civilian, continue to do an outstanding job during this really unprecedented challenge, and I can't thank them enough for their ongoing dedication and professionalism as they continue to serve our community. We're all seeing a current uptick in COVID-19 cases within the Niagara region, as well as across the province, and now is certainly not the time to be complacent. We must all do our part and continue to be vigilant and closely following the guidelines of public health officials, and we're certainly committed to doing that here at the Niagara Regional Police Service. Just wanted to provide an update with regards to the expansion of our Mobile Crisis Rapid Response Team, or the MCRT program. I welcome news to share in regards to the expansion of this program. This program, as you're all aware, is in collaboration between the Niagara Regional Police Service and the Canadian Mental Health Association, where an officer is paired with a mental health worker, and they are prepared together to respond for calls for service involving a mental health component. On November 16th, the service received notification from Ontario Health West, which was formerly the Hamilton, Niagara, Haldeman, Brant Local Health Integration Network, that they will be receiving funding for the expansion of the MCRT program to increase the current allotment of 1 team to 2 teams. We as a service have seen considerable success with the program in the St. Catharines and Thorold area and are eagerly anticipating the expansion of the program. With the current focus on police personnel, response to mental health calls for service, this important partnership will allow us to better serve those in the community that are experiencing a mental health crisis. The service will continue to work with the Canadian Mental Health Association Niagara branch to operationalize the expansion of this program, which will likely take place in the first quarter of 2021. And we'll, of course, provide further details as they become finalized. Just want to make the board aware of an SIU closure on June 21st, just after 4 a.m. in the morning. The Niagara Regional Police in 3 District responded to a resident on Summit Avenue in Welland regarding a domestic incident where a female was assaulted by her estranged male partner. The male also caused damage to the property of the victim and was in possession of a hammer. On arrival, 51-year-old male partner fled on foot. Officers quickly set up a perimeter as they had grounds to arrest the suspect for criminal offenses that were alleged to have been committed. The suspect managed to elude police for 2.5 hours. However, the suspect was eventually located in a nearby home under construction. An officer attempted to arrest. However, the suspect resisted and a struggle ensued. With the assistance of additional officers, the male was eventually taken into custody. The male, after his arrest, was transported to a local hospital and diagnosed with 3 fractured ribs and a fracture along the bone of his nose. The SIU was notified and invoked their mandate to investigate. 2 constables were designated as subject officers by the SIU, and 4 constables were designated as witness officers. On October 29th, our service received notification from SIU Director Joseph Martino, and in his closure letter, he advised that the SIU had concluded their investigation and that there were no grounds for criminal charges against any officers involved. Just want to provide the board an update with regards to our homicide investigations to date. Thus far in 2020, we've had 5 homicides and 3 attempt homicides, and we have had 1 homicide that has occurred within the reporting period. In 2019, comparatively, we had 7 homicides. In 2018, we had 2, and in 2017, we had 3. In 2016, we had 1. Obviously, these numbers fluctuate from year to year, and we adapt accordingly. Just some information with regards to the homicide that occurred on Sunday, November the 1st, shortly after midnight. 8 district officers responded to the area of Fraccione Drive and Cachette Court in the town of Lincoln for a suspicious person complaint. Once on scene, officers learned that the sounds of gunshots were heard in the area, and a subsequent search resulted in the police locating a deceased male in a residence. The male was identified as a 20-year-old from Toronto, and due to the circumstances of the information that they've uncovered to date, the homicide unit has taken carriage of this investigation, which is continuing at this time. Just some statistics regarding traffic fatalities. There was 1 fatal motor vehicle collision and no life-threatening injury collisions that occurred in the month of October. Our year-to-date totals for fatal collisions for 2020 is sitting at 16. Comparatively, in 2019 and 2018, in each of those years we had 13, and in each of 2016 and 2017 we had 16 for the entire year. In 2015 we had 15 fatal collisions. So we're trending slightly ahead of where we were at last year this time. Some information regarding that traffic fatality during this reporting period. On Monday, October the 26th, our officers responded to a report of a serious motor vehicle collision on Weber Road near Murdoch Road in the city of Welland. Investigation determined that a 30-year-old male was operating a Cadillac motor vehicle westbound on Weber Road. The Cadillac subsequently attempted to pass several vehicles but struck a westbound Grand Prix motor vehicle, causing the Grand Prix to lose control and leave the roadway. The Grand Prix came to rest on a drainage ditch located on the north side of the roadway on its roof. 39-year-old male driver of the Grand Prix was trapped inside the vehicle, which became engulfed in flames. The male was subsequently pronounced deceased at the scene. The driver of the Cadillac was not seriously injured. That collision remains under investigation by detectives within our collision reconstruction unit. Some items in the news. On October 31st at approximately 11:56 p.m., our two district officers attended the area of Center Street and Ellen Avenue in the city of Niagara Falls for a report of a disturbance. Initial information received was that gunshots were fired in the area. Multiple victims were located suffering from gunshot wounds. All of the victims suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to a local hospital. The Niagara Regional Police Service is asking anyone with information who may have been in the area or witnessed the incident to contact police. Anyone who may have been in the area with dash cams or residents or businesses with surveillance cameras are asked to review their video footage and contact the Niagara Regional Police or Crime Stoppers if they observe anything suspicious. This appears to be a targeted incident from what our investigators have learned to this point in time. Excuse me. Another incident that our officers recognized the Ontario Annual Crime Prevention Week, which occurred November 1st to November 7th. This week-long promotion of crime prevention is supported by the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and police services across Ontario. During difficult times such as we're experiencing in the COVID-19 pandemic, so many people in our community feel anxious. And that's why it's especially important during these times to come together to prevent crimes before they start. Many crimes are preventable, and Crime Prevention Week is a great opportunity for Ontarians to think about what they can do to keep their families, their neighborhoods and schools and workplaces safe from criminal activities. Highlighted throughout the week were several crime prevention initiatives, including traffic enforcement, lock it or lose it campaigns, and increased foot patrols to engage residents and business owners across Niagara. Just some information regarding a shooting incident that occurred in St. Catharines on Saturday, November the 14th at approximately 1:40 a.m. One district uniform officers attended the area of Niagara Street and North Street in the city of St. Catharines in regards to a shooting. Investigation revealed that the incident took place at a multi-unit complex in the area of North and Niagara Street. 3 victims suffered minor injuries as a result of fleeing the scene. All 3 victims were transported to a local hospital. None of the victims were struck by gunfire. This appears to be a targeted incident and remains under investigation by our One District Detective Office. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair, at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief McCullough. Members, any questions on the Chief's report? Okay, seeing none, thank you. There are no presentations today. We do have a number of items under our consent agenda. Items 7.1 through to item 7.10. I'll have members Eek and members D'Angelo move that to get it on the floor. Are there any questions to any of those? Councillor or Member Gale.
Thank you, Chair, or Acting Chair, whatever it is. First off, hello to Member Lawson. One day we will meet. Who knows how many months that will be at Regional Council. There are rules are in effect, I think, till March 31st. I could be corrected on this, so maybe it's April before we all meet. But I was going to say maybe we have a coffee one day. We can't do that. There's so many things we can't do. I don't know what we can do, but eventually every board member, and that is being able to see the other members other than on Zoom, and that's not fair, but welcome to the board. Chair, item 7.1 is what I want to bring up first, please, and that's the letter to all the political bureaus and that about decriminalizing the drugs. The one thing I want to make everyone aware, and I'd like the chief to comment on this too. I supported this at council because it says the one word that, excuse me, I'm trying to just go with this here, to explore. Everything is to explore. It's not saying we endorse it. It's not saying that we don't endorse it, but we know this day and age that we have to move with the times. And if this works out to be a better thing for people to do, fine. Chief, I'm going to ask you to comment on, please, which one supports it. Is the Ontario Chief of Police Association and not the Canadian, or vice versa? And also, I want to just make a comment that I hope that if something like this happens, it's not rolled into play as quickly as marijuana did, because there were a lot of checks and balances that didn't come into play with marijuana. We know with the buildings and the smells from them, but let alone the licensing and things like this. So I just wanted to highlight that I support this because it says the word of explore, and that's it. But I'd like to hear from the chief, Chair, if you don't mind.
Thanks, Member Gale. So Chief, our item 7.1 is a little bit different than your numbering. So it is the Niagara Region referral motion, decriminalization of personal possession of illicit drugs. So for you and your staff. So just before the chief starts, I'll bring up the number, and then once you ask your question, I will read out the title, because the chief, the deputies, and our staff, their numbering system is not up to what ours is yet because of the way we've just moved to the e-scribe. So that way they can find it. So thank you. Chief?
Thank you for that. Obviously, the decriminalization of all drugs is not something that's completely embraced by all members of the community. This is something that has been reviewed and studied by the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and they've put out a position paper on that. The OACP continues, which is the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, is continuing to review and is putting together a position paper on decriminalization of drugs. What I can tell you from the CACP's position, and I support this position, is that decriminalization of drugs needs to be supported by a robust system of supports that need to be in place that address all of the pillars of drug prevention, education, enforcement, and treatment. Without those in place, I think we're potentially setting our community up for failure. Again, we want to be able to be in a position where if members of the public require treatment to get off the drugs, that treatment is available on demand. We're not there at this point in time, and I know a lot of chiefs of police from across the province are concerned that without those robust support systems in place in advance of decriminalization, it again will really cause more harm to communities than good, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Member Gale?
Nothing else on this one. I have another one to go to, but if there's anybody else that has a question on this one, please.
Any further questions on 7.1? Okay, Member Gale?
Okay, Chair. So I'm going to the annual, it's our item number 7.9, the annual report on crime analysis. Chief, you got that? Obviously you do. My question is page 3 on the report. It starts off, there are 7 civilian crime analysis positions. I was overwhelmed by seeing this, and you explain why on this, at least for 3 and 3. My question is, do these people do other things? And what I mean is 3 of them, I believe it says in the first part, that work in the detective offices. Would they also be working on the crimes, or are these 7 people that, in my mind, sit behind a computer or whatever and analyze crime stats?
Chief?
So through you, Chair, that primarily is their responsibility. And I can tell you that, this keeps them very active in analyzing all of the calls for service, trying to do some trend analysis to identify where crimes are occurring, and then more importantly, it's not just doing that trend analysis, but it's disseminating that information out to our officers so that we can, and we've talked about this before, the importance of having an intelligence-led response to crimes. And they play a pivotal role in providing our officers with the intelligence to know where crimes are occurring. Particularly important given our officers' schedules with 4 on, 4 off. They may be completely unaware of something that's been going on for the last 4 days while they were off, or if they happen to be off on a block of leave, as an example, they could be out of the workplace for 12 days, and in some cases 2 blocks, they're out of the workplace for 20 days. So again, very important for our crime analysts to be able to keep track of all that's occurring within the calls for service in their various communities, and then disseminate that information to our officers.
So thank you for that, and through you, Chair, again. Chief, I hope you'll consider down the way showing us giving us an example of one of the officers there, that we can see what they do in some of this, because and if that's right for you to do that, because I'd like to see what stats they have. Now, Dr. Divers, I thought, was the one that did this. Is he tied into this as well?
Through you, Dr. Divers gleans a lot of his statistical information that he uses for various reporting, various grant writing opportunities. He gets that information from the crime analysts.
Okay, so I hope you'll consider, Chief, down the way of showing it, seeing a way that you can show us what they do in some aspect.
That would not be a problem at all.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'm done with questions. If there's anybody else with this one, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Member Gale. Any further questions on 7.9? Okay, any other items to be brought forward? Seeing none, we have it duly moved and seconded. We are receiving these. No further questions. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's carried. Under new business, we're going to go to item 8.1. And again, I'll read these out for chief, deputies, and our staff. So 8.1 is the motion passed by the Regional Municipality of Niagara and St. Catharines City Council, NRPS Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's moved by members Gibson and members Gale that the Police Services Board receive and accept the recommendations in the report from the Chief of Police, Niagara Regional Police Service, to address the Niagara Regional Council motion from its August 13th, 2020 special meeting, and correspondence from the City of St. Catharines Council dated August 11th, 2020, and further that the report be circulated to Niagara Regional Council and the City of St. Catharines Council. Any questions on this one, members? Any comments, Chief?
Thank you very much. And obviously a very topical issue in our community. And I want to thank Superintendent Mead, or Acting Deputy Chief Mead, and there's a host of others that contributed to this report that really details in a very systematic way a response to the various items that came through the motions from Regional Council and from the City Council of St. Catharines. I think what the report outlines is the fact that we are, as an organization, addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion both within the service and promoting a culture within the service and really throughout the community, that we want to treat all people within our community with dignity and respect. And are there lessons to be learned? Absolutely. Are we doing everything perfectly? No, we're not. But we are committed to continually improving and to do better, because we realize that we can't, we're extremely fortunate to have a high level of public trust and confidence within the community. And that public trust and confidence can't be maintained without demonstrating our unwavering commitment to deliver unbiased policing to our community. So if you have any specific questions regarding the report, I'd be happy to ask them or answer them, sorry. And of course, Acting Deputy Chief Mead is available as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from any members? Councillor or Member Eek. Take your mute off. Your mute button's on.
Thank you very much, Bill. With respect to this report on diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'd like to comment with respect to the fact that the report was requested of the chief by the Police Services Board and is now presented, and it addresses point by point the issues and concerns that were addressed at both regional and municipal council meetings, and of those by concerned citizens. And this report is very educational of the duties and the services that policing provides to protect the public. And I'm pleased when one reads it. It's a 56-page report. It's a comprehensive report. It's transparent with inclusion of facts. It expresses the goals and objectives of police services and involves community collaboration. And I know that the chief sat, as you're well aware, Bill, as a regional councillor, the chief sat before regional councillor for some 5 to 6 hours, and on 2 occasions in total, to address any and all questions. And I commend the chief for his patience and qualified opinions and responses that I believe were well received by everyone. So the executive summary, for those of the public who don't want to attack 56 pages, the executive summary on 12 and 13 and the subsequent recommendations on 14 addresses clearly the intent of this report. So I commend the chief and his executive. So thank you, Bill.
Good. Thank you, Member Eek. Any further questions? Member D'Angelo.
Yeah, I also want to echo those comments. It was a very comprehensive report, so a lot of good reading in there. And it's a great starting position too for bringing information forward. I see it's going to be forwarded on. The only question I have, sort of through you, Acting Chair, to the Chief is, do you see yourself going back to council or the city to explain some of this stuff to them, or do you feel that this will be ample enough to move the ball rolling for them?
Chief?
Through you, Chair. I mean, I think the report speaks for itself. It's quite comprehensive, but obviously I would avail myself to regional council or the City of St. Catharines should they have any additional questions or concerns.
Just further comment. That's excellent. Your openness and willingness to work with this. Again, compliments to all those involved putting this together. I think it's very comprehensive and it answers all the questions that were put out there, and with the recommendations to move forward. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Member D'Angelo. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. That's carried. Next is item 8.2, special duty billable rate schedule, effective date December 1st, 2020. I have members D'Angelo and Eek moving that. But the subject to approval of regional council, the board approve revised special duty rates for constables and sergeants, and further that the board adopt bylaw number 388-2020 as appended to the report, and authorize the acting chair to execute the required documentation, and further that bylaw number 388-2020 be forwarded to Regional Council for approval. Any questions on this one? Any comments, Chief?
No, this is a very typical report that comes to the board in light of the collective agreement enhancements.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That's carried. On to item 8.3, Niagara Regional Police Services Board bylaw number 346-2014, use of force. Moved by members Gale and members Gibson, that the board adopt the revised bylaw number 346-2014 as appended to the report and authorize the acting board chair and executive director to execute the required documentation. Any questions on this one? Chief, any comments?
No, I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's carried. Any other new business? Any members have any new business under the public meeting? Okay. In-camera reports, item 10.1, Special Investigation Unit, SIU, case number 20-OCI-010, moved by members Eek and members D'Angela, that in accordance with the board direction, the above noted in-camera report be received for public information. Any questions on this one? And no comments, Chief, on there, or any comments on this, Chief?
No, other than to say this is a standard procedure to bring a report forward for the public to see.
Great, thank you, Chief. Seeing no further questions, all in favor, please raise your hand. That's carried. I now adjourn this meeting. And we'll meet in our next meeting in 10 minutes. Deb, is that fine? In 10 minutes. So call it 10 o'clock.